You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.
Hello, this is Paul Stefan, and welcome to another episode of TV Free Baltimore's look at Maryland politics. In this election season, we've been trying to interview as many candidates as we can for various offices. And today, our guest is Brian Noon, who's Republican candidate for Baltimore County Sheriff. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you.
First big question for anybody is, okay, why are you running?
Well, I've been in law enforcement since I've been 20 years old, so 43 years, and not really was interested in running until I saw our incumbent sheriff a couple times, and he's against the Second Amendment, and he's for a sanctuary county. Well, okay. But then as I followed the sheriff's office a little further, I see, the sheriff's complaining about being understaffed. Then I found out that one of their main primary functions is to serve adult criminal subpoenas with other paperwork from the court. And they got so inept at serving paperwork that the county police took it over. And they had to hire retired officers to coordinate things to get them served. So then the last straw was I saw an article in the local paper where a deputy sheriff was arrested serving an eviction notice that turned out to be false. So I thought, here, they can't serve legitimate papers, but the deputy says he picked the false eviction paper up from Sheriff Fisher, and he was luckily the tenant knew what was going on and called the police, and the deputy sheriff was arrested along with some other people. And even though the case wasn't prosecuted at court, he had to pay a $2,000 restitution. So instead of the sheriff's office going forward and supplementing the police, they actually threw more work onto the police department, and the integrity of the sheriff's office is going down. So I'd like to get in there and bring it back.
Well, that's a good enough answer as far as I'm concerned. So talk about, you had a 43-year career
Yes.
in law enforcement. So that was what, all with Anne Arundel County or no?
No, I had 22 years with Anne Arundel County, and I did everything, patrol and detectives and homicide and drug work. And then was offered a job with the Natural Resources Police. So I thought, I'd like to go drive a boat and learn something new. So I have worked my way up. I've been with the Natural Resources Police for the past 21 years, and I am now on the command staff for the Natural Resources Police. So I'm in charge of Baltimore City and Baltimore County Marine and Carroll, Howard, Montgomery County. So I have a bunch of people working for me covering those counties.
As I think I saw it, you're a commander.
Yes, sir.
And how many more steps above you are there?
There's several.
A few?
Yes.
Because I'm going to say, why give all that up to run for Baltimore County Sheriff?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think
you're sitting pretty good, right?
Yes, very good. I mean, it's a job I like, but I think I could do a lot for the sheriff's office and try to bring them back. And I'm in the twilight of my career, so that would be a good way to exit my law enforcement career.
Okay. And again, a question would be, it's Baltimore County Sheriff, but your experience had been in Anne Arundel County.
Yes.
But so why Baltimore County?
Well, I'm a Baltimore County resident. I grew up in the Lansdowne area of Baltimore County. I attended Lansdowne High School, attended Catonsville Community College, and went to the University of Baltimore. And about halfway through the university, I was hired by Anne Arundel County. So I spent a lot of years working full-time and trying to finish my degree, which I did.
Okay, great.
And then later on, I went back and I went back to the community college and took all the credits necessary, accounting credits, to get my Maryland CPA. So now I'm know how to budget and cost control and different things that would really work well with the sheriff's office.
Well, that's good. Another, I guess, say that you've got, how many other opponents in the Republican primary?
Just one.
Just one other one?
Yes. He has no police supervisory or leadership experience.
Oh, none? Because I'm going to say compare yourself to him.
No, absolutely none. And if you look on Maryland Judicial Case Search, you'll be surprised. So I'll leave it at that.
And then, let's say you get nominated.
Yes, sir.
You're up against a sheriff, is finishing his 4th term?
Correct.
And where are his vulnerabilities, or how could somebody like that be beat who's going for his 20 years as sheriff?
Right. Well, most people haven't followed the sheriff's office like I have. I will broadcast what I know about the shortcomings that he has done. He has taken that sheriff's office completely back and not forward. So.
Okay, and we'll let you save that till after
Yes,
you win.
after the primary.
After you win on the 26th,
Right.
we'll say that. Along with that, here's a question I have, because you talked about people haven't studied it the way you have, and I would say, for me, and then probably more for people who are going to be watching this, to say, what's the difference between what the Baltimore County Police did, you alluded to it a little bit, and what the powers of the sheriff's office are, your duties if you were the sheriff, as far as your group of people, the deputy sheriffs, and what are their limitations, what can't they do?
Well, first off, law enforcement doesn't enact laws, so you have to follow what we're given from the legislature. Mm-hmm. So the sheriff's office now is responsible for circuit court security and some domestic and paperwork and bench warrants from the circuit court. Mm-hmm. That could always be expanded, but it would take working with the police chief, the county executive, and nothing precludes the sheriff's office from expanding greatly and putting sheriff's deputies in the schools to supplement the police.
Okay.
So I think that would be a major aspect I would like to go after.
Do you have, does the sheriff's office have or deputy sheriffs, do they have the power to arrest?
Yes.
They do?
They do.
And carry weapons?
Yes.
Okay. So, in a sense, they're supplementary to the Baltimore County
Yes,
Police.
but right now they're not being as used as effect the way they're just responsible for the court and serving some summons from circuit court and some bench warrants, but we can expand that with the proper funding and legislative approval and different things.
They're not doing, law enforcement, because what I've seen too, a lot of times, if it's like a more rural area and the police aren't there, it seems like that falls to the state troopers, not to the sheriff's office.
Well, in some, yes and no. In some counties, you may only have state troopers, but in some counties, like Harford County and Carroll County, the sheriff's office is the police department.
Okay, so that really is the same thing.
Yes, so it's basically in the Baltimore metropolitan area, the sheriff's office just take care of the courts.
And serves papers
Yes,
to people.
yes.
Because I know of one case in my own neighborhood years ago where 2 or 3 deputies went to serve somebody with a paper, and he wouldn't accept it, and there was a shooting, and he died. I was here in Lansdowne.
Yeah, well, it's a dangerous business. You have to be prepared for anything. Just like pulling a car over, you don't know who you're pulling over, so you have to be careful.
Right, so I'm just trying to give people perspective that being a sheriff is not a piece of cake as opposed to
No, because they're
patrolman.
doing some of the same things police officers are doing.
Well, there we go. That's what I wanted to hear. Now, let's see if you could talk about some other things here, like crime and public safety. What are you going to do about that, or how do you see that?
Well, crime
county?
is a major factor in this county, and like I say, I'd like to supplement the police department by expanding the sheriff's office and filling in where we can fill in to relieve an officer to go on patrol duties. Mm-hmm. And there are some aspects, and one being the school system to free up officers.
So you mean you'd be more like the officers who...
Yeah, the school resource officer.
School resource officer.
Yes.
That there's nothing in the law right now that says you can't do that.
No, but like I say, you'd have to get legislative approval, county council approval, and we'd have to get additional funding for additional deputies.
Well, are there enough deputies now to do the jobs that need to be done?
No.
There aren't?
No, that was one reason why when I saw an article in the Sun paper about deputies complaining they were understaffed, and from what I've heard, and I've been to the FOP meeting, Sheriff's FOP meeting, and talked to some deputies, where you may have a major case in one of the circuit courtrooms, maybe a homicide or a rape case, and you have 2 opposing families, and you have 1 deputy in there monitoring the courtroom. It's not the ideal situation.
So again, these are deputies, whereas a lot of people say, oh, I thought they say in the courtrooms it's a bailiff.
Well, the bailiff is an employee of the court. basically, some are armed, some aren't, but the deputy sheriff is what we need in there.
Okay, and more of them, apparently.
Yes, sir.
And it's under budgeted too, the sheriff's office?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's the current.
Well, when the police department took over serving the adult criminal subpoenas, the sheriff's office had to give up some funding and some resources in order to accomplish that, because they weren't going to keep giving them funding for a job they weren't doing.
Now, would you want to see sheriff's department get the serving adult offenders back?
I would,
Yeah.
because that was another way to free the police department up.
I mean, that was your original function.
Yes, and Sheriff Bateman in Anne Arundel County has done that. He took over all warrant services from the police department to free them up, and he's been doing that for several years now.
Well, then that's pretty good. Now, I don't know about other priorities you have for the office, or any other ideas for your.
Just getting it properly funded, staffed, trained. Training's a big thing. I'd like to see some additional tactical training, just in case something would ever go wrong at the courtroom, you know, that the sheriffs could maintain the situation, maybe even resolve it, but if not, we'll maintain it until the police arrive.
Okay. Trying to think of some other things here. Now, a lot of politicians or political candidates that have come in here, I ask them about the opiate crisis. I don't know if the sheriff's office would get involved in that in any way. As far as drugs in the county.
We may. I mean, we could always put, like some other sheriff's office, maybe have a deputy or two on a task force with police departments, like the state police and county police and DEA. I mean, we could do that. But I think the street officers around, the most dealing you're going to do with opioids is if it's probably not even catching them with the drug, but dealing with the aftermath. Maybe have to administer Narcan or something.
Right.
And waiting for first responders to take them to the hospital.
Well, is it part of like what would happen, let's say, if a deputy sheriff would see a crime being committed or notice something like drugs or anything else, they can't do anything, but they have to call it into the county?
No, they could take action. Yes.
Well, they can.
They can take action.
They're allowed
yes.
to take action.
I'm not sure right now what Sheriff Fisher's allowing them to do, but when I'm there, they see a crime, they better take action.
Because in a sense, if you are, a sworn officer of the
Right.
court, you should have, that gives you a certain amount
Right.
of
You have full vested power. So if you see something happening in front of you, on the opposite side of the coin, if you don't take action and something worse happens, then you may be sued. So we don't want to we don't want the sheriff's office getting sued.
Right, and did you have, as you said, I think, an extensive record in law enforcement?
Yes.
43.
43 years.
And,
Done just about everything.
So you're qualified or overqualified.
Right,
for
and
the sheriff's
I
job.
think so. And like I say, I'm a CPA, so I know how budgeting and different cost controls and checks and balances to make sure the money's being spent where it should be spent.
And Mr. Fisher is not qualified?
Well, he was
What was his background?
he was a retired lieutenant from Baltimore City.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
Okay, so he did have background.
But he's had time to prove himself over 16 years, and he hasn't.
Yeah, and I guess the hard thing is because it's the party that's in power.
That's correct. I mean, even if I win the primary, move on to general, I'm just going to have to work that much harder to defeat the sheriff.
Well, the problem, I think, with a lot of these offices, which they're not, because they're all important, but to the voters, they seem like they're the lesser offices. It's not Congress, it's not Senate.
No.
If it's sheriff or clerk of the court or a judge, you
Yeah.
kind of are guessing when you check something off.
Well, Sheriff Fisher's been there 16 years, and I've asked numerous people, who's the sheriff of Baltimore County? And their
Nobody
response is like,
knows.
I don't know.
All they have to see is Democrat.
Right,
and they go,
right, and that's how they vote. Well, that name sounds familiar to me. I'll vote for that person.
It could be.
Yeah.
But that's why you would have to get the message out.
Yes.
Like you said,
We've been working hard.
do you have fundraising? Do you have?
I have not had any fundraising yet. I wanted to wait till I won the primary, and then I'll be fundraising at that point.
But I mean, have you had signs and
Yes,
things up? You have.
yes.
T-shirts, I know.
Yes. A couple.
You can see that on your website.
Yes.
But because I'm going to say you're going to have to maybe even have a TV ad or something to.
Well,
get people
everything
to
costs
wake up.
money.
That's true.
Everything costs
Unless you
money.
do it here.
Yes.
We'd do it for you.
Okay.
No problem. For a local guy, but I mean, it seemed like you were giving up any chances of like promotion or anything else by who
But-
you're working for now.
Right.
But if you lose, you still have your job.
I still have a good job.
like
I have no problems with my job, but
So you really have nothing to lose.
no. I like my job, I really do.
You just
But-
won't be going out
but
on the boats anymore, huh?
I think I could be even a little bit more effective, bringing a agency back to where it should be.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm trying to think. Any other ideas or things that you want to do?
No, I'm just hoping that we can get a Republican county executive and increase the Republicans on the county council, and then my job as sheriff would be a whole lot easier dealing with a bunch of Republicans.
Because right now it's only one, isn't it? Only one Republican on the county council? Or is it two?
4 to 3.
Oh, it's 4-3 with the Democrats.
So if we can turn one position, we'll have the majority. So
So there we go.
yeah, we're working hard on that.
So I don't know who's running here in 12. I don't know.
Tom Quirk and
But I mean on the Republican side.
well, at the moment, nobody, but I think
That's the thing you were talking about.
the
somebody
Republican
getting-
Party will probably nominate Al Nally to run against the Tom Quirk.
So that seat won't get flipped then.
No. Well,
More than likely.
we'll
You
we'll
can
be
hope.
working hard. Yes, I'll be helping.
You can hope on that. Well, what I would want to say is that you could maybe tell people, in that camera there, why they should vote for you.
Well, there's only 2 Republican candidates, and my qualifications exceed tremendously the other Republican candidate. And I'd also say that my qualifications will exceed the incumbent Sheriff Fisher's. So I'd like to take my vast experience and put it to good use and bring the Baltimore County Sheriff's Office back to its original glory. Thank you.
Terrific. Now also then give people where they can find you. What is your contact information?
You can find me on Facebook. We're through the Baltimore County Republican Central Committee, or my email is noon0502@aol.com. And you can talk to me about the elections, or you can talk to me about a police problem you're having. Whatever you need, I'll help you.
Well, that's terrific. So you're going to have maybe an open door, or have the citizens will have better access to you maybe
Yes.
than people have in the past.
Well, that's what we get paid for.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you for stopping by and wish you good luck on
Thank
the
you.
26th of June.
Yes, sir.
And as I tell people, and it's the end of another episode, but that election is coming up very soon. In fact, I believe early voting has started already. So if you don't vote early, at least make sure on Tuesday the 26th of June you vote and make it an informed vote, as we just talked about, that you know something about those little people that you're checking off on your ballot, not just because it's a particular party, because it's the man or the woman and what they believe in, not necessarily what party they seem to be under. So until next time, this is Paul Stefan for TV Free Baltimore's Maryland Politics, and good night.
You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.